Hi, I'm Christine Cushing and welcome to another helping of my favorite foods. Today it's all about the favorite staple of the Mexican kitchen. I want you to replace those mediocre store-bought tortillas with my healthier, amazing flour tortilla recipe. Let's go. Super easy, don't fret it. All right, here I have, when you see how easy it is to make tortillas at home, you're gonna love this technique, and I'm gonna tell you why I wanted to do it in the first place. So I always use organic flour, unbleached of course. I'm gonna mix some salt in with that. So easy. And you might be asking, why would I go to the trouble of making a tortilla when I can just ding-a-ding, go to the store, pick them up, and use them, right? It's a very good question. Why would you do that? Every time I go to buy tortillas from the grocery store, this is the challenge I have, is I read the back of the package and there are 15 ingredients. All kinds of fat I don't want to use, bad fats, all kinds of additives, preservatives. I'm like, why am I buying these? I'm just gonna make them. So that's why I want you to make these, because I'm sure that you have a similar challenge. All right, that's that. Now, there's gonna be some controversy. Let's see how this goes. So typically, tortillas are made with lard, which is a saturated fat. I have made them with lard and I love it. I've also made them with duck fat. They're amazing with duck fat. But here, I'm going with extra virgin olive oil. Yes. So just adding the oil to the flour and salt mixture. Okay. And I'm just, with my rubber spatula, going to do the first bit of stirring here, just to cover that oil in the flour. And then I transfer and start using my hands. So here's the technique that I like to use. I just sort of press it between my fingers and flatten out, and just to sort of create those layers in the tortilla that's really going to give you that beautiful texture that you love. Now I know this is not traditional. Obviously, olive oil is not from Mexico and never was. But for me, if I know that I'm going to use a tortilla and I can make it sometimes with a non-saturated fat, which extra virgin olive oil is, why not do it? And that's the reason that I did it. I'm not losing anything in terms of the texture. The flavor is going to be a little bit different, obviously, than lard. But I loved it when I tried it, so I thought, you know what? This would be a really good recipe and a good video to do. Plus, did I mention it's going to go really well with my carnitas recipe? You want to click on that. It's a separate video on my channel. Really fantastic. And again, prefacing by saying, in Mexico, of course, corn rules, right? Tortillas, corn tortillas are the thing. And if I'm buying corn tortillas, I have no problem because they've got corn and water. Those are the two ingredients. It's the wheat ones that they mess with too much. Okay, now it's looking really good. Now I'm going to just add the water to that. So water is hot at a temperature of roughly 95 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 35 Celsius. So it's not super hot, but it's like body temperature. By adding hotter water to a pastry, you're actually softening the gluten strands. The gluten is the protein in the flour that creates the stretch, and that's what we want in bread. But it's like a love-hate relationship. Too much of that, and it gets too tough. Too little, and it's too soft. So this way, you're kind of just hedging your bets a little bit. Now I want to knead it, because this has to become nice and smooth. And we're gonna make some killer tortillas with this. I know I'm gonna hear it for using olive oil, but wait till you try it. So let me just show you a close-up here of this. It's tender, but not sticky. So right now it's still not looking smooth as I want it, so I'm just going to let it sit for a couple of minutes. Looks perfect. That's just 2 minutes rest. I mean, seriously. So now I'm just gonna cover it here at room temperature, let it sit for 30 minutes, and then guess what we're doing? We're going to the pan, making some phenomenal, easy, healthier tortillas. So after half an hour's rest, look at the beauty of this piece of dough. It's so supple. So what I want to do now is I've got my cast iron pan dry, heating on a gentle heat, and this is going to make 6 tortillas. So I'm going to cut it into 6 wedges. Years ago, when I had a live show on Food Network here in Canada, my sous chef's name was Juan, and Juan was from Mexico. He was from Tabasco, and Juan and I had been working together for years, but every time I do something with tortillas, I think about him because every time we used tortillas on the show, and I would say tortilla, because his station was just off to the side, he would be like, Chris, it's tortilla. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It just seemed weird for me to say tortilla. I always say tortilla. So whether it's tortilla or tortilla, I think of Juan when I'm rolling these babies. Okay, lightly floured. And now with the rolling pin, not too much flour here because we still want them to be tender. But the idea is I like to apply pressure on one side and turn it, and then you get a beautiful, even tortilla. A little bit in the center. We want them to be fairly thin. That's gonna make a great tortilla in the pan. See, now I'm gonna be saying tortilla the whole time. Looking good. Now I want to keep my eye on this heat-wise. I want to feel a good amount of heat in the pan because if you put it in a kind of a warm pan, you're not going to get that beautiful puffing up, right? So this is in the category of unleavened flatbread, which there are so many. It's amazing, flour, water, some kind of fat or not, how many variations worldwide there are. It's wild. You might also want to try my Greek pita recipe, that video. That one happens to be leavened, so there is yeast in that one. Okay, so let me show you the final. This is the texture that we're looking for, fairly thin. You see that? All right, let's see if I've got good heat here. Look at those bubbles. Bubbles. Look at that, baby. See what's happening on the back end. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You understand me? You're never going to want to buy that store-bought tortilla again. It's never going to measure up. Look at them. I'm rolling now. So how do you know when it's done? It's basically going to tell you, you saw those bubbles, it kind of puffs up, and then when it starts to balloon, you just flip it over, and then you wait again for the same thing to happen. So it really tells you, depending on your pan, your heat source, all of that. This is a recipe you're going to make over and over again. Let me taste it for you. So after you've made these, the ideal thing is to put them in a cloth, wrap them up, keep them warm so they stay tender and soft. Come on, can't you stand these now? Look at them. And that way they keep their moisture in, and you can use it for anything. Okay, I mean, look at these. Phenomenal, the texture of it, tender, just the smell of that flour, the dough coming off the pan. I mean, so tender, so beautiful, really just a fresh flavor. You don't have any excess, you don't have that medicinal taste of all those additives and who knows what they're adding. Oh, that's good, and so soft. If you like them crispier, you just keep them in the pan longer or finish them in the oven so they're gonna get super crispy. But this is a homemade flour tortilla you and your family are going to love. Thank you for joining me on another helping of my favorite foods. This was actually a request, so I really wanted to make this for you because it all made sense to me and I had the perfect recipe for you. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like, see you soon. Tortilla.